Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's Cool Care Masterclass, where we're going to be looking at getting the most from your HR dashboard today. So, as I'm sure you're all aware, Cool Care is here to make operating a care home easier, more efficient, and more profitable, focusing on the easier side of things today, making things a little easier to find what we need within the system. Specifically looking at our dashboard and the different widgets we're going to have on there. Now, using Zoom today, if anyone does have any questions as we're going through, you should find the Q&A option on your Zoom window. In there, you can ask any questions you've got on anything we're showing. Anything you think of at all, don't be afraid to ask, and either I'll answer it in the session, or a member of our team is on hand to answer any questions that you've got as well as we go through. And once we're done with the session as well, if you do have any additional questions, you can stick around at the end. We'll stick around for a little bit longer before we wrap up. So anything you want to ask afterwards, feel free to stick around and ask any questions that you have. So, as I say, today we're looking at our HR widgets on Cool Care, looking at the widgets you can have on your dashboard to look at stuff HR-wise that you might need to be aware of for staff members, stuff to be brought to your attention, and what we might need to action from there. Specifically, we'll be looking at how these widgets can ensure you're in compliance with your HR processes just at a glance, looking at the DBS expiry or PVG if you're in Scotland in there, and nurse pins as well, looking at staff probations and inductions to make sure they're all kept up to date, appraisals and supervisions to make sure we're on top of those, and seeing all those together in our staff missing information report. So how we can see all this stuff, update it as we need to, and report on it as well. So I'm going to swap over to my demo system just to show everything off. As always, all data shown in this masterclass is all just made up for the purposes of training, no actual real data being used. Right then. I share my screen, we should see Cool Care on there now. And luckily, what we're actually looking at is right on here at a glance, your dashboard on Cool Care. First thing you see whenever you log into the system will be this page here, and these can be customized for each user on your system to be able to see what they want to look at. And this, for those that have access to it, can customize these dashboards for different users using the Manage Users section, just to mention on there. You can go into a user's profile and enable these dashboard widgets for them. And then when they log into Cool Care, that's what they'll see. I've just got a few of them on mine here for the stuff we'll be looking at today on our HR side of things. So you can see there, I've got a widget for the DBS and PIN expiry, one looking at staff incomplete inductions, incomplete probations, and appraisals and supervisions. And the good thing with these widgets is they're always updating in real time. So as soon as you log into Cool Care, this will be a live look at your system, seeing what's going on, what needs to be brought to our attention to potentially deal with, and what we might need updating on the staff records from here. So we'll start at the top left, the DBS and PIN expiry, looking at staff DBS checks, nurse pins in there. When those will be either expired or potentially missing from staff records, it will pop up in here, and it will code them all accordingly. Oh, this little eye will give me a bit of information there. You can see there, it'll show me staff DBS and PIN status up to the next 16 weeks. So essentially, if you see anything on here, it gives you 4 months notice in there, 16 weeks in that. On there. And it will give you the details of any staff members that have either an expiring DBS check, expiring nurse pin, or missing, say, from there as well. And it will code them accordingly. So the ones that are in white are the ones that are expiring within the next 4 months. Not quite urgent, but they're on there as a warning. The ones down the bottom of mine, going up to November, as you can see in there. Then the ones in amber are ones expiring a bit closer over the next 8 weeks on there. Or in this case of this one, expiring today on there. And then any that are red are either the information is missing from the staff record or it's past expiry dates, like you see in the example here, that expired at the end of July. So you can see how it codes them, the date it shows on there, that as well. And you can also track the DBS status if that's tracked on the record as well in there. So I can see what needs to be sorted out from there, what needs to be updated and changed for that. And the good thing with all the dashboard widgets we're using in today's session is if you click on the person's name or on the line for them in there on the dates, it'll work anyway. Click on it, it'll take you straight into the staff record. You don't have to go into your staff section, find the person you want to find, and then go to the page you need to go to. Click on it from the widget, and it'll take you exactly where you need to go right away. And then, so in this case, that is under the HR tab in the staff record in the employment details. And you can see on here on the left-hand side, right away, there's our DBS information. got details of our DBS in terms of form sent to DBS date, when the DBS is issued, and the important one for us in this case is the DBS expiry date. As you can see, that is today's date. And if I want to update that in there, I can click in the box, change the date, and update it as I wish. Or you could just type in it as well. You can just change, in my case, I'm just going to change it from 2026 to 2027 in there. Update the date in there, and that one will be sorted. Underneath that, you've then got registered professional details for nurses. So again, if we need to update that, you can see there the nurse category and different options under there, their registered PIN number, and again, the one that's important to us in this case is the PIN expiry dates. As you can see there, again, just like with the DBS expiry, click in the box and you can then change the dates from there, or you can type as well to update it directly. Again, I'm just going to update the year on that one to change it from there. And with those changes done, once we save that, that record is now updated. And so now if I go back to my dashboard, both of those are for the same person. And so now with them being updated, both of those lines have disappeared, the red and the amber. And so now I can see everyone else on here is nice and up to date, and I don't have to worry about updating any of that until, in this case, October is the soonest coming up next on there. So yeah, that's the DBS PIN expiry. Just tells you about anything coming up for your staff in those two that we need to update. You'll be able to see them directly from there. The next two we're going to look at together because they're, again, similar kind of things, the induction and probation. These two I've got here, incomplete induction at the top and then incomplete probation underneath our DBS and PIN expiry. Now, the incomplete induction works slightly different to the other ones that we're going through. This one's kind of the unique one in this case. This one will tell you about any staff that's currently within their induction period. So the induction details can go onto the staff record either when you're creating the staff member or after the fact in there. And this widget just tells about anyone where essentially a reduction has started, but we've not met the end date there, as you can see in this one. So this one end date is the end of the month, the 31st. And the other one underneath it is where they have their induction date missing. So that's the two things that will flag up in there. If they're before the induction end date, it'll stay in there. And if the induction date is missing, it'll be in there as well. And if we need to fix that, here with this case with the date missing, I can go and click on it from the widgets. It takes me straight into a staff member. Again, in that same page, actually, the HR employment details. And our induction details can be found in this employment box on the right-hand side. You've got there the induction start and end dates. So in this case, we might say this person started back in May. I just forgot to add in their induction details at the time. So I can pop in both the induction start dates and end dates. We can backdate those in there. So I can say the induction start date was the 18th. And the induction end, we'll just put it to the end of the month, at the end of May. In that case, we'll do it to the last work day of May in there. And so adding those in there, we can then once again save it. And because they now have an induction end date in there, and because we're past that induction end date, because it was the end of May, if I go back to my dashboard now, that one has disappeared from there. They will disappear from the widgets, the induction one in here, once it's just past that induction end date. So in this case, for this other one I've got here, once it's past next week, at the end of August, once we go into September, that will just disappear from that widget because they're now out of their induction in there. If that did change, we can always go into it and change that induction end date, but that's all it's there, just to tell you about anyone that's currently within their induction or doesn't have the induction end date put on their record. So yeah, no call coding or anything on that. That one's just to let you know what's going on with those. And our next one after that's the incomplete probation. This one works much like the DBS and PIN expiry. Tell me about any staff probations ending soon or coming up to end soon, as you can see in there. Gonna hold the little eye. This one is looking for any that are overdue or coming up to be done in the next 4 weeks. And again, it will call code in a similar way there, either white if they're due to be done soon, probation if they're amber if they're due today, and red if it's overdue or missing from there. And so you can see on this one, I've got one due to be done at the end of this month, on the 31st, and another one that is due to be completed today. So with the incomplete probation, to remove them from there to say they've passed the probation and it has been completed, we can click on it from here, just like the other stuff. And again, takes us to that same page on the staff record, the employment details under the HR. Again, in this employment box, you might have spotted it earlier, you've got the probation details on the right-hand side there. The probation length, which you can just pop in the number in there, and the probation end date, whatever that is set to manually. Now, two things we can do with probation to essentially remove them from the widgets. If we need to extend their probation, we could just change probation end date in there to just change it to a new date to say we're extending their probation a couple more months or whatever in that. But if we want to say actually they've passed their probation and everything's good, you can see the tick box there, pass probation, which does just that. If I tick it, that says they're past probation now. And if I save that on the record and go back to my dashboard, you can see now in the incomplete probation, that's now disappeared. It's no longer showing as required in there because of passive probation. They're going to show that the probation is now complete and thus not in the widget any longer. So yeah, that's your probation one. Again, works like the DBS and PIN expiry, just when the dates are coming up, they'll pop up in there. It'll be within the next 4 weeks, and then keep an eye on them from that. And obviously, if they have a probation, just tick it. If they don't, so you need to extend it to something like that, you can extend the end date from there and even add in a review date, which will show on here as well. So that's our probation. Last but not least on the widgets we have here is the appraisals and supervisions. This one tracking annual appraisals, regular supervised sessions to be done with your staff members. You can see them nice and easily from there. And again, what works very much like the DBS PIN expiry or the incomplete probation coming up in there. Again, it will call code them one of 3 ways, as you can see on mine here. One is they're coming up soon. I believe it's again within the next 4 weeks, similar to the probation one. They'll be white on there. So they're there, coming up soon. If they're due to be done today, they'll be orange, like you can see this one here. And when that is, obviously today's dates. Or if they're overdue, you can see in there the red one, overdue, in there. Again, nice and simple, the call code, you can keep tying it from there. And much like the other widgets, if we need to add in a supervision or appraisal for the staff member, we can click on it from the widgets to get to where we need to. Once again, if I choose the one that's due to be done today first, we'll click on that. And it takes us straight to staff record again into HR, and this time appraisals supervisions. On this page, you can see the next supervision that's due, the next appraisal data that's due in there as well. And you can see all the previous historic ones they've had added in for them. But if we need to add in a new supervision, just click the insert button on the page. And we can fill out the details. So saying which one we're doing, a supervision or appraisal, let's say supervision, the date complete, when that was done, which would just be, say, today's dates. And that will automatically work out a next appraisal supervision dates for them in this case. It's based on some settings, setting a background in CoolCare. So again, for those with access to it that might need to amend that, it's found the system configuration in the staff tab under there. You can say how often you have supervisions or appraisals with staff in either a number of weeks or number of months, how you want to do it. In this case, I've got mine set to be done a supervision every 4 months. So you can see on there 4 months from today, Boxing Day as it happens to be, would be when this next one's due for them. But if you need to, you can override that date. So if I want to say, actually, Boxing Day, a Saturday is probably not going to be the best day to be able to do that supervision with that person. Let's put it to the Monday afterwards, we'll go with instead. And so that will then just override that in there. So you don't have to stick to the specific dates it chooses for you. You can override that if it doesn't quite line up correctly for you. Then the other main thing that you need for a supervision or appraisal is the allocator supervisor, who's actually done the session with them, who would be the person to assign this to. And there's 2 ways you can assign it to them. You can either select from current staff, just by using the search icon there, you'll get the option. And that's just every other staff member in the home you can choose from to say they've done the supervision with them. Or you can instead enter a custom name, choose that option, and then the box is just a tick, just a box you to type in there instead. And that's, in this case, I'm going to select my current staff, and we'll go one way for staff members. Set them in there. You've also got a little details box just for any additional notes around this you want to add in. You can pop them in on there. And there's a couple tick boxes as well, just to say if everyone's signed off and happy with that as well. And once we save that, that's then completed on here, and you can see the next supervision updating there to the 28th of December, the date I chose. If you need to actually update that again and change a different date for the supervision, you can go back into it on here, just by it's to be the most recent one down at the bottom. And I can actually edit the supervision and change that date again in there. If I actually say, you know what, we'll save it for January, for example, in there, and save that again. And there we are, update supervision dates. And with that updated in there, with the supervision now complete, if I go back to my dashboard, that orange one has now gone. And I can do the same for the red one just to do it again. Click on the name, insert the new supervision, say what we're doing, say when it was done. Again, in this case, it was, well, parameter to be done on the weekend. We could say we did it on Monday, for example, so you can backdate them in there. We can update the next supervision appraisal dates. Again, we'll actually put it back to say we did it the day the week before, for example. And this time we'll enter a custom name as well. Again, come tick boxes to sign off on it. Details if you wanted any extra information. And save that once again. It's all good. And there you can see that next revision date updates to 21st of December. Easy as that. So yeah, that's the supervisions and appraisals. The main thing that you might want to add to them that can't be put on them directly is if you have like an appraisal supervision form that you might have that you fill out externally. Obviously, they can't be attached to the appraisal supervisions directly, but you can attach them, say, as a document, for example, onto the staff record on there instead. The main thing with the appraisal supervisions page is just saying when they've been done, when the next one's due. And again, with that one done on here, if I go back to my dashboard, it's now gone from there. The only one left now is the one for the 30th, which is going to be done later this week. So yeah, with all the stuff sorted now, sorted on my HR stuff as well, you can see in here my dashboard is already showing white records, which means essentially everything is just due to be coming up soon, but not urgent. So we know they're all good and everything's happy. So yeah, just by using my dashboard, I can get around through staff records, see what I need to, know what needs updating for them right away, and sort them out directly from there. And that then reflects, like I say, a live look through the dashboard on here, so you always know what's happening and make sure you're on top of stuff. But the question remains, what if I want to see this all in one place? What if I get this data out of CoolCare? You know, the dashboard widgets are nice, but if I want a paper copy or just to show it to someone else that might not have access to the system, I want to see this all in one go. Well, luckily we can do just that. Under your staff section, you've got your reports. And there's one report on this page here that will gather together all that stuff that you see on the dashboard to know what might need updating for them, what's out of date, etc. in there. And it's this one here, staff missing information. If I show descriptions to tell you what it does. Report details the fields that are incomplete for each staff member. But more than that, it shows anything that is kind of out of date or coming up to expire for them as well. It's not just incomplete details, it's that kind of expiring stuff that the dashboard widgets are looking for. And this can be run for either a single home, a company of multiple homes, or the entire group. If you want to see it, if you're at top level, you want to see it for all the staff in the group, you can see it for them in there. I'll just run it for my home though. And it creates for you this nice PDF report. What it will do, don't zoom in too far. It will list each staff member and some details for them there, so their payroll number, their full name, their main position, their date of birth, start date, and if they were currently absent from the home, it would tell me that in there as well. And I can then see for them if there are any exceptions on their record. And the exceptions are basically all the stuff the widgets are looking for. So like incomplete inductions, probations, missing DBS details, or missing or expired DPS and PIN expiries as well in there. If they're past probation date and it's not been passed. And any appraisal supervisions coming up soon as well. So all the stuff those widgets are looking for, you can see it will tell you in the exceptions here if there are any. Where, for example, this one, the staff member's missing a professional PIN number that's a nurse in there. Got supervisions coming up soon to be done over the next, again, I think it's 4 weeks in there. That's supervision. Again, missing professional PIN number. We get the idea of that. You can see anything that might need to be flagged up on the records in there, and you can check in with the staff, obviously, and update on stuff on CoolCare once it's sorted. But it's just a good way of seeing it all in one place, and to say, more importantly, getting that data out of the system. You can download this to your computer. You can print it off as a paper copy as well. You can get that out of CoolCare as you need it. Again, that's your staff missing information reports in there. It gathers all those together in one place. But in that case, that would be everything to see for these dashboard widgets for today's masterclass. As I say, if you don't have them on your dashboard, you might just speak with someone in your company that has access to be able to enable them for you. And for those that do have access, again, it's done through the Manage Users section. You can enable them on their user record from there. And the last thing I forgot to mention actually for them is if you have multiple widgets on your dashboard and you want to change the order that they show up, you can do that with the widget order button at the top here. Click that, and you can choose what order they would turn up on there for you. Might do, say, once my inductions, probations together, and then I can see DBS and pin expiry and supervision appraisals together as well. And that will reorder them for us and move things around just like that. So you can choose what order they show up in to make sure they see exactly what you want to as soon as you log into CoolCare. Right to the top of the page, at the top of your dashboard, you can see them on there. But yeah, that is our dashboard widgets for HR. Everything to show for today's masterclass. Just before we wrap up though, a couple of additional things to mention. Firstly, if you were interested in any additional training on CoolCare, I thought we've seen today, either going through kind of some stuff from what we've seen or anything else on CoolCare you want some training on, feel free to get in touch with us at the training team. We can check if you may be entitled to, if you have any free of charge training available to use. You should have at least 2 30-minute sessions if they're not being used already, of course. Feel free to email us, training@coolcare.co.uk, or you can phone our team as well, and then support will let us know from there. As well as that, of course, any additional help you need on CoolCare, you can get in touch with our support team. For any assistance using CoolCare, you can give them a call, you can email them, you can use the live chat within CoolCare itself, and they're available to help you out with anything you need. For any other queries regarding your account and subscriptions to CoolCare, you can email our customer success team as well. So we are able to help you with whatever it might need. But all I have to say for today is thank you all for joining, and I hope to see you again next time in 2 weeks, where we'll be looking at advanced reporting in CoolCare, one of our newest features, be showing you a bit more detail on that. And if you do have any feedback on our masterclasses, feel free to scan the QR code there and leave some feedback and let us know what you want to see a masterclass on.